Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to episode 6 of the H-Town Spin. I am your host, John Floyd, and sitting in with me is producer Joel. He's wearing another hat for me today, so thank you, producer Joel, for agreeing to do a show with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Sorry about that. You might have heard me breathing into the microphone. Sorry about that. I was like making adjustments and I'm like, I can hear myself breathing. I shouldn't be able to hear myself breathing.
That's okay. That's what we have editing for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's hard to...
Maybe not.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll count it as background noise when I...
Yeah, we could do like the
take it
ambient
out
noise.
as background noise, I guess.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
So we have another episode of the H-Town Spin with your host, John Floyd. I know he said that earlier, but I thought I'd say it again.
Maybe for those that didn't hear me.
So we're about to get into it. So, John.
Yes, sir.
You know you got a rant, so
I do.
Get on with it.
I do, and I'm so happy that you mentioned my rant. We kind of got away from it for like the last 2 weeks because there was a supposed hurricane that was coming, and we kind of postponed that, and then we had a special guest and stuff like that. But this is going to be a very, very quick rant. My rant today is, if you know me, I am a cyclist. I love cycling. Do it probably 5-6 days a week. Okay, so most of the time, I'm wearing some type of fluorescent colored cycling clothing, whether it's like a lime green or like a fluorescent orange or a fluorescent yellow. I have a helmet with the little lights on the back. I have headlights and taillights on my bicycle. My bicycle that I use is white. It's a white Cervelo. Cervelo is the brand. And explain to me, or somebody please talk to me like I'm a 2-year-old and explain to me that when I wear all of that and like I'm like super fluorescent, I still almost get hit 5 times at least. At least. I've been riding a bicycle for 5 years now. I've been cycling for 5 years, and I have probably almost gotten hit at least 100 times. And it's from dumbasses that just like number one, they don't care. They see a cyclist on the road and they're like, well, I'm supposed to speed up, instead of slow down or get over or whatever. And it really, really pisses me off because this is my life, and I'm exercising and I'm trying to live a good, fit, healthy lifestyle. And there's this in the back of my mind where it's like, man, if I get on the road and everything, I may not make it. I may not make it home. You're not supposed to, in Texas, you're not supposed to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. Like, if you run into a cop that wants to be a total dick, he can literally write a ticket for you, and you have to go to court or you have to pay this little fine. I don't know what it is, but it's just, I'm like,
Has this happened to you before?
Me almost getting hit every time I ride.
I'm talking about getting a ticket.
No, but thank God I haven't ran into any asshole cops. But if I do ever encounter one, they have a right under Texas law to write you a ticket for riding a bicycle on the sidewalk.
Well, don't spend too much time in the sun.
Well,
the tanner the skin.
I mean, I'm already getting a really good tan.
The tanner the skin, so, you see the results of what happens.
Exactly, exactly. So that's my rant, guys. It's like, dude, pay attention to the fucking road. Get off the fucking phone. If you're talking to somebody in the car and everything, and you're trying to drive and talk at the same time, and you can't do that, don't do that. Focus on the road, get where you're going, and then you can sit down and have coffee or wine or cocktails for 4 hours, and you can talk to whoever the fuck you need to talk to, as long as you're not on the road impacting cyclists and stuff like that. So that's my rant. Thank you guys so much for paying attention to the rant. Hopefully it reaches the right people and they kind of do something about it, because a little bike lane with just a little white line separating a car from a bike lane ain't really doing shit. Sorry.
Well, it's GTA rules out there.
Well, yeah, and I'm really not trying to get. I'm not trying to play GTA. Okay,
you're lucky you're not a hooker.
I mean,
okay.
There's.
You know what happens to hookers in GTA.
But there's all this COVID shit going on. And speaking of COVID, let me give you guys the update. where we are in Texas, we are slowly creeping up to almost 700,000 cases in the state, guys. We are at 600. We're at 641,855 here in the state of Texas. Harris County, where we are, Houston, Texas, 108,085. Okay, so it's not going away, guys. No matter what politician you listen to that says, "Oh, it's going away," it ain't going away. Okay, so continue to wear your mask, do your social distancing if you can, and there we go with that.
You know, the funny thing is, you know, the irony is, while you were talking about it, I coughed right into the microphone, and he just gave me this incredible look while we're talking about COVID.
I did.
Which, by the way, I was just choking on a little bit of coffee. So,
How do you choke on coffee?
I don't know. It just went down the wrong pipe. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Good Lord.
Okay.
Good Lord. It went down the wrong pipe. You know, my gag reflex is no longer there, but I'm not going to get into that explanation of why.
We really aren't. That's
That's
for his show.
That's for another show.
That's your show. That's for your show. This is a PG-rated show here.
You guys curse on this. This is not a PG rate. It's PG-14 maybe.
Well,
MC-17 or something.
NC-17.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
You
Not
guys
PG.
curse on this
We'll
show.
do that. Yeah, but we curse when we're trying to, get the point across. So yeah, we're kind of like the Howard Stern without the Howard Stern.
Okay.
Does that make sense, guys?
I don't think anybody's ever accused you of being Howard Stern.
I said without the Howard Stern.
Okay.
I would be the
then
non-Howard
it's not
Stern.
a Howard Stern show if
Well,
there's no Howard Stern
you
in
can
it.
be Robin Quivers.
I'm not going to be. You sound more like Robin Quivers right now.
I do not. I do not. I do not.
Okay, so anywho,
But yes.
I do want to say this. This is the first time that I've had been battling bronchitis since I quit smoking.
How long did you smoke?
I smoked for 30 years.
Wow.
And since I quit smoking, I have been battling bronchitis.
Here and there, off and on.
Yeah, here and there, off and on. And I've worst time of the year to 2020 has just been.
2020 has just been a fucked up year.
It's just been a fucked up year. Every time I turn around and look at my phone, I'm like, ugh.
And
who's dead today, or who's this and that. I want to throw in a little something here.
Okay.
On the last episode, and by the way, when y'all listen to the last episode, y'all understand what I'm talking about. You didn't know who Chadwick Boseman was? You act like you did.
No. I did. But I wanted to kind of get the audience participate, like my co-host involved, because actually, I did not hear about Chadwick Boseman dying and until Mario posted it. He was like, "Oh shit," King T'Challa, what's his name?
T'Challa.
T'Challa. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to boost to jack that up.
That was the first time you sounded the whitest. Well, this young man, Chadwick Boseman, something. I'm like, what is he? What is he doing?
Joel, newsflash. I am white.
Okay, well,
I'm actually not white. I'm actually more of like a Creole-ish Hungarian mix, which is a beautiful mix, guys.
Okay,
if you've ever seen a Creole and a Hungarian mixed together, oh my God!
Nobody knows what that is. He's just white.
Well, trust me, it is a thing of beauty. I promise you.
He's just white.
I
just
promise
let
you.
it go.
And oh my God. Anyway, yeah, but like Mario, my co-host on Monday, Mario is the one that actually posted that, into where I actually did some quick research on it. I was like, oh shit, he did die. So Mario was on it. So I was like, well, I felt since he was the one that kind of broke the news and everything, I should kind of like add him into it, which he did. I'm more kind of upset that I didn't know what Mexican Coke was.
So, well, I'm sure you worked that out. But
I did.
But like I said, I had been going on and off with bronchitis since this whole thing started. So every time a trip to a doctor would be something up a Q-tip up my nose.
Do they do a COVID test every time you go?
No, not every time. But 3 times I've been tested 3 times, and 3 times it's been a negative. And then each time it's been, well, just because it's negative doesn't mean. I'm like, yeah, okay, so what are we doing here?
There's seriously, guys, there is so much misinformation going on about COVID. that it's like we don't even know. Like I'm giving you the numbers in Texas, but we don't even know if those are like the actual legit numbers.
You know,
I think those are more estimates than actual real numbers.
You know, while Dr. Fauci, I know I'm mispronouncing the
Fauci.
Fauci, Dr. Fauci was under anesthesia. The CDC decided to make a change on testing when it came to people who didn't show symptoms, and everybody threw a hissy fit. And as soon as he came out of anesthesia, he threw a hissy fit. And see, this is what I'm talking. As soon as the man steps away for even just a moment, this administration is trying to like.
Well, because he and the reason why he stepped away, if you guys don't know, he had throat surgery.
Yeah.
So he like literally couldn't talk and some of that. So he had no choice but to kind of step away for a month or month and a half or whatever.
Yeah, but the sad thing is that just stepping. This really shows that him just stepping away for just a moment.
Right.
This administration will sneak their agenda in.
Yeah.
Any way they can.
Yeah.
As soon as and then he has to come back and defend it. And luckily, there were enough people who threw out enough hissy fits.
To kind of stop it.
To kind of stop it, even before
it got really, really crazy.
Before he even had to say anything. So that's actually good that the medical community is really just going, you know what? No, you're not gonna sneak this shit up on us, because then we'll be caught off guard again. And they're already going through stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're already going through stuff. And you know what? Should I say that Houston seems to be handling it pretty well?
We are, but I mean, there's still videos out there of like, really, really packed, restaurants and bars and everything that are like,
Well, I mean, the hospitals. The hospitals.
But
I feel like that they're handling it.
They are. I mean, but it also helps that we live in a city where we have the world's largest medical center. So I mean,
it does not hurt. Yeah,
we do have a lot of beds, available beds, and then there's all these different communities that have hospitals as well. So if there's one city in the country that could probably handle an increase, it would be our city.
I want to tell you, I get phone calls from insurance providers like round the clock, and the few that I've talked to, every time I talk, oh well, I live in Houston. Oh my God, you have so many doctors to choose from there. I mean, so many. It's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of lucky on that end. I still don't want your insurance. Stop calling me.
Right, exactly. Block them. Like I block the contact. It's like, I mean, I get so many of the same phone calls and stuff like that, and I'm like,
you make one little inquiry into
and
insurance,
you got 500 fucking phone calls. And I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I was just curious.
And if you do it online, it's even worse, because if you do it online, then you get. And you know this, you get the educational people calling. So you're not just dealing with the medical people. Now you're getting all these people, sending you stuff and calling you. Well, we noticed that you went online and you said that you were interested in furthering your education. And I'm like, oh, shit, I got to deal with that shit too. And I'm like, no thanks. And so I just, so any number that I don't know, like everybody who has my number that I talk to on a regular basis is saved in my phone. If you're calling me from a number that I do not recognize, I'm blocking the number. I'm sorry. That's it.
Exactly. I'm the same way, except for maybe one or two phone calls that I get from people that are not officially in my phone, because I haven't made them official in my phone.
Well, then that's where you need
But
to
I
do
already
some
know
homework.
their numbers. And you know what? I learned something from watching television.
GTA.
If this is what I learned. If you lost your phone, do you know who you could call? Do you have someone's phone number in your head that you can call?
Yeah, I have like two or three. I know like off the top of my head and stuff like that. And they are people that that if I was stranded or something like that, that would literally almost drop everything to come.
But if your phone is stolen, do you have like a couple of numbers that you know off the top of your head?
I do, but there's so much.
Because I realize that a lot of people don't.
And there's a lot of people that don't even know their own phone number.
Yeah, exactly.
I
know my own phone. I don't understand how you don't know your own phone number.
Well, there's people even worse. There's people that don't even know their own social security number.
I know my past 3 phone numbers still are in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, CVS, every time they ask you for a phone number for your CVS cord, it's like 3 phone numbers ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what the funny thing about CVS is? Every time I try to go online to try to find my card, I can never find it. I never can find it. And I'm like, but y'all have my info. How come I can't find you?
Right.
Because I just want to change my phone number.
Can I give you the last 4 digits of my phone number? And you can, and if it pops up on there, then it's like, okay, that's me. You know?
So, yeah. So they could do it at the register, but I can't seem to do it online. So I have no idea what that means.
Maybe it's a different system from in-store to online.
Except for the fact that receipt, y'all... in CVS, think about the environment. That receipt paper y'all give out is ridiculous.
All of them get out.
I know, like 2 books. That's just ridiculous. I've seen comedy skits involving the CVS paper.
It's crazy, man.
You should know that you are doing something wrong when your receipt paper is involved in comedy skits.
Right.
Exactly. So you might want to think about just putting that stuff on my online thing and leaving that paper alone.
Exactly.
Because that's just too much paper. And then I have to go through, I'm like, oh, I have a coupon for this. Let me put this away. And then I'm going through 5 stacks of paper trying to figure out which coupon. Because, they expire fairly quickly.
Exactly. Yeah, CVS wants you to go, like you go in on a Monday, they want you in there by that Friday.
Exactly. They want you.
Because that coupon expires on Saturday. So they're like, okay. Well,
Saturday at a certain time, because they will have the time on. Well, this expired at 12:01.
It's 12:02. Like,
it's a minute. I mean, you can't.
They don't,
sorry.
Yeah,
but the computers are set up a certain way.
And then if you go and ask for the manager won't do the right thing and say, well, I'll give you that coupon.
That's,
like, no, I'm sorry, it's expired.
I managed to get away with it one time, and she was really nice about it. And it was because I worked right next door to it, so I was there all the time. Right. So they were really nice about it when they did a coupon one time for me. And because of eczema, those lotions and creams are expensive. Yeah, those things are expensive.
Dude, everything. Now, I went to Walgreens. I went to Walgreens last week, and I was like, fuck, man. It's like, dude, deodorant, toothpaste, everything is fucking expensive.
I don't buy deodorant and toothpaste at the of all the places. I don't buy them at the pharmacy anymore. I buy them at the grocery store. And then when I need vitamins and stuff.
They are a little cheaper.
Yeah, when I need vitamins and stuff or medicines, then I go to the pharmacy because they're cheaper than they are at the grocery store. Right. So I never buy toiletries at the pharmacy.
You go to
I go to the grocery store. Just like you buy makeup for the ladies and for some of the gentlemen. When you buy makeup, I think it's cheaper to go to the pharmacy than it is to buy it from the grocery store.
Yeah.
Although I don't know why you want lipstick next to your pork loin, but hey. But hey, maybe you got a quick. Maybe you cook a dinner and you realize my lipstick. I'm out of lip gloss. Let me go on over to the section to get some lip gloss.
Maybe. Who knows?
And I'm cooking this pork loin later for that date.
Right. I hope he likes pork loin.
I hope he likes pork loin. So, because you got to ask nowadays. Before you go out on a date with somebody, you got to ask all their dietary concerns.
Yes.
All their dietary, because we don't live in that day where it's like, okay, we going out to dinner.
Right.
And this is what you're going to eat, and that's it.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, because now there's a gluten allergy, and I am not making light of anybody that has a gluten allergy. But understand, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, there was no gluten allergy. We didn't have that going back then. So me being 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, and I'm graduating high school in 88. I'm sitting here next to my high school chum. I don't think we had gluten issues back when we were in high school.
I don't think that it was now that we have the advent of the internet. Celiac disease has always been around, and I think that back in our day we didn't know much about it because no one talked about it, and it was very few people who had it. So, it's still a very few people who have it, even today.
Right.
It's, but it's enough that it's had an effect. I mean, you can tell how much the gluten, which is a natural occurring thing in wheat, suddenly everybody's got an allergy.
Right.
And the people who seriously have an allergy actually kind of benefit because those people who are usually making it up have also allowed restaurants and grocery stores and all this other stuff to say, hey, we need to sell gluten-free products. because everybody's into gluten right now.
Well, I think, and I think that
So it's actually benefited people who have celiac disease where before, maybe back in our day, they couldn't go get gluten-free bread or go to a restaurant and have to go through the list and all that other stuff.
I think the the whole thing with gluten, I think it actually is a good thing because now you have vegan dishes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Where I know growing up there was no vegan.
Oh, you didn't go out to eat vegan?
Yeah,
no. You ate a
went out
salad.
to get a steak, or you went and got a salad.
You had a salad, and you couldn't even trust if the salad was vegan.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
So you couldn't even trust if the salad was vegan. So no, diets have changed. So that's what makes dating even. Now you got to think about somebody else's diet.
Yeah,
because I am lactose intolerant.
I'm blessed that I have no issues. I am not lactose intolerant. I am not. I'm not allergic to anything that I know of. I mean, I can eat dairy. I can eat. So I feel bad for the people that can't eat dairy. I feel bad for the people that have any kind of allergy. I feel like I'm a rare, super rare breed because I have nothing that I'm allergic to.
Well, even then, there's degrees because a full-on dairy allergy. If you have a full-on dairy allergy, you can't eat any dairy of any kind. Whereas I'm lactose intolerant, I can eat some dairy. I can eat some cheese,
right?
But milk, ice cream, even yogurts.
So how does that work? Because isn't milk one of the ingredients when they?
If it's mixed in with other ingredients, I can handle it. Okay. If it's my primary source, then no, my stomach can't handle it.
Okay.
So if it's mixed in with other stuff, ice cream especially, I cannot. I take a Lactaid. So if I want ice cream or something like that, I take it 30 minutes before. Sometimes I might have a little light gas, but for the most part, I'm fine after that. There's no bloating or what have you. But
the sad thing about me and ice cream, I love ice cream and stuff like that, but it's so fucking hot in Houston, Texas, that by the time I get the ice cream home from the store, it ain't ice cream no more.
Okay, you just stick it back in the freezer.
I'm like, Lord
or
Jesus.
there's a, if you've been in quarantine, which we have
pretty much have. I have super long hair now and everything. I didn't have super long hair before COVID.
But if you every time I Tasty, all those videos from Tasty would pop up on my Facebook all the time. You can make ice cream at the house.
Yeah.
Two steps.
Yeah.
2 steps. All you need is basically, from what I heard, some condensed milk and whatever flavor. Whip it up and stick it in the freezer. You got ice cream.
Yeah. I mean, it actually might be better. Because these companies, they put so much artificial stuff in everything that we make. I mean, I literally, when I go to the grocery store, I literally look at each label of everything that I buy. And when I was younger, I never did that. I was like, man, a T-bone, here's a T-bone. Right? I didn't even give a shit how much it cost, but I was like, dude.
You know what gets?
I still don't care how much it costs, but I'm more conscious, nutrition wise now as to extra sugar and cholesterol, so that because the older you get, you got to watch that stuff.
Yeah, you got to watch that stuff. But you know what really gets me is when I buy a simple drink,
right?
And I'm reading the label there, and it's like, oh, it has 24 grams of sugar. I can handle that. But then you look at it and it goes, oh, serves 4. I'm like, so wait a minute. So this 18-ounce bottle of, let's say Arizona iced tea, because I kind of like Arizona iced tea every now and then. Arizona iced tea in the can, 99 cents. It says, oh, I have 24 grams of sugar per serving. And if it's 4 servings, now you have to take 24 times 4 if you because nobody drinks a serving of a soda out of a can. Are you serious? Right. That doesn't even, the FDA really needs to change that. If you tell me that a can of soda has 100 and something grams of sugar for the entire can, then I can make the active decision of maybe I might drink half and put the other half away later. or maybe I'll drink this and I won't have any other sugar the rest of the day.
Well, see, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the points on Monday's show, about the difference between Mexican Coke and regular Coke, aside from Mexican Coke comes in the glass bottle, regular Coke comes in like the plastic bottle, is the plastic bottled Coke that's made here in America is sweetened with corn syrup. Mexican Coke is sweetened with pure cane sugar, but they're both bad for you. Cane sugar is probably healthier, a little bit, but not really. And there's this mindset going on that Mexican Cokes are a lot better. They're a lot more healthier than American Coke. I'm like, no.
I think we need to get away from the idea. I would like for us to get away from the idea when it comes to sugar equals healthy. There's no such thing. It's sugar is sugar.
Sugar is
all
bad.
Sugar is bad for you. Unless
it's natural sugar. If it's natural sugar that comes with fruit, that's different. But
it's still sugar. But
it is.
Yeah, but even with certain fruits, you have to watch how much fruit you're eating. I mean, you can't eat a bag of grapes. I mean, that's a lot of sugar in there.
Well, lately I've been eating mangoes because there are, like I was doing some research, man. Mangoes are an amazing fruit. It is a sweet fruit, so you can't eat a lot of it. But if you eat moderate amounts of mangoes every day, it lowers your cholesterol. It fights cancer. It's been proven to fight, colon cancer.
Eating fruit in general, no matter what fruit, almost.
But mangoes are like the
real
king of the
form,
fruits.
and stop juicing everything. We don't need to juice every goddamn thing.
Right. Eat it in its natural form.
And in its natural form, you get all the fiber. I'll even accept smoothies, because even smoothies are nothing more than crushed fruit, and you still get your fiber.
Right.
So you're still getting your fiber. So if you want to do a smoothie, I say do a smoothie. But if you're juicing, you just all you're doing is drinking sugar, the sugary stuff from the fruit. Don't do that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. But you have all those health people that's like, juicing is the way to go. And so I'm not 100% convinced or sold on that idea.
Neither am I. And I've read the science on it. And honestly, the science says that really all you're getting is a lot of sugar, a little more water. But you're not getting the fiber that you need. And that's the whole big point of eating fruit, is to get the fiber that you need.
But I do want to just put this out there that if you guys want to know anything about any type of fruit, like what it does to your body and stuff like that, just Google it. You can Google the health benefits of broccoli, asparagus, watermelons, mangoes, whatever. And it will give you a list of the things that those particular fruits will take care of. But you have to do everything in moderation. Wine's good for you as long as you do it in moderation. Junk food is good for you to a degree if you do it in moderation. If you eat junk food 7 days a week, then it's not good for you.
I think we need to go back to, I'm not one for nostalgia. And I think I've made this so many times. I've said this so many times, not just on your show, but on my show as well. I'm not all for nostalgia. I'm not all for going back to the past, because to me, we need to be future forward, not looking backwards. But there are some things that I will look at and go, I think that would apply to, I think that mentality needs to apply today. And I think the fast food thing, I'm sorry, growing up in the 70s and 80s,
that's all we had.
McDonald's, Burger King, all that, those were treats. That was considered a treat.
That was actually gourmet meal to to us back then.
That was like going to a gourmet restaurant. You went once a month. Oh, we're all going to go to the park, and then after the park, we're going to go to McDonald's, and kids go, "Yay, we're going to McDonald's!" Blah 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 blah. That was a treat,
right?
And I think we need to get back to the idea of fast food being a treat every now and then. It's okay to. I think
it's not a necessity like
it
was back then.
Exactly. And I think we need to go back to the idea of fast food being a treat. Now, I don't have kids, so I have to watch out for me. So when I want a Burger King or a McDonald's or something, it's a treat.
Right.
Because I feel like I cook a lot at home.
And that's how it should be. I eat a lot of healthy foods, healthy-ish and stuff like that. But I'll do one day where I'll eat a pizza or I'll have a burger. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If the other 6 days of the week you are eating, your healthy.
You're trying to eat
portions and stuff
better.
like that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong because your body can,
And I don't.
it's when you eat all of the unhealthy stuff, 3, 4, 5 days a week. Then it's like, okay.
And I think most people will tell you, and most doctors have told us for years. Most people in the exercise industry has said this for years. For years, nobody's telling you to stop eating what you're eating.
Right.
What they're telling you to do is cut back on it.
You got to get out and
It's
exercise.
It's called moderation. It is called moderation. So
it is in the Bible, guys. Everything is good in moderation. I don't know the scripture exactly, so please, my Christian friends, do not vilify me for that. But I do know
that. Plus, trust me, they have 1,000 other things to vilify. So
yeah. But trust me, they that passage is in the Bible. Okay, it does.
I think it's on the Jesus side of the Bible. I think.
Well.
I think it's on the Jesus side of the Bible.
And we're kind of segueing into one of the topics that we're going to be speaking about, and I told you guys this when I did my DNC recap.
Okay, we're going to actually segue into that in just a second because we need to
take a commercial break.
We need to take a commercial break.
Okay, yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, but we'll hold that thought, and then when we come back, we'll pick it up on the other side.
Okay. And we're back.
All right, welcome back to the H-Town Spin. I am your host, John Floyd, and sitting in with me is producer Joel as my co-host. And before we took our mini hiatus, we were talking about just really going from my rant about cycling and almost getting hit, and then we started talking about nutrition, eating your fruits and veggies as opposed to eating junk food all the time and stuff like that. And then the last comment I made that, there's a passage in the Bible where it says, do all things in moderation. And I, forgive me, my Christian friends, that, please don't vilify me for not knowing exactly what scripture that is, but I do know it's in the Bible.
Trust me, they will vilify you for 1,000 different other things. I don't think you need to really apologize for that.
Let's hope they don't. But that kind of segues into one of our topics that we were going to talk about on the show today. Before the RNC, we had the DNC. And I did a DNC recap and stuff like that. And then I was going to do the RNC the last day of the RNC. But I had to cancel that show because if you guys aren't in Texas, we were faced with Hurricane Laura. So I thought it prudent that I give the show the day off because we didn't know where that storm was going to go. We kind of knew, but then there was a thought that it could go toward us and stuff like that. So I was erring on the side of caution. And then I had a special guest on this past Monday, so I could not cover the RNC. So here we are on our first Thursday back, episode 6, and we are going to cover the RNC. We're going to recap the RNC.
Okay, John's going to do most of that.
I'm just going to go over the basic points of what I took from the RNC. As you guys know, if you're a Democrat or Republican, you guys have fundamental differences. Okay, nobody's arguing that point or anything like that. But what I found in the DNC was the DNC had a plan for how to get the country out of COVID, how to get the country, back working, how to get the kids going back to school, safely and stuff like that. So what I gathered from the 4 days of the RNC was there was no plan to solve the crisis in America. There was a lot of Biden bashing, a lot of misinformation, a lot of attacking Biden. It was like, Joe Biden's going to take your ability to go to church. And he's going to take your ability to go to school. And he's going to stop you from doing this and stop you from doing that. Like, there was just no clear-cut plan on how do we get America out of the situation? How do we get America out of the racial injustice that's going on in this country right now? There was none of that. Donald Trump was on all 4 nights, and everything he said was, if you elect Joe Biden, he's going to ruin this, and he's not a law and order president. And the first thing he said when he said that Biden is not a law and order president and that he was, I'm also looking on my computer and I see reports of violence going on in Portland, violence going on in, different parts of the country, in Wisconsin and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, you're a law and order president, or you're claiming to be, but you have all this law and disorder going on in the country. I'm not understanding that. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys who you need to vote for and all this other stuff. I'm not gonna disclose who I'm gonna vote for.
It's pretty clear.
I am not a far left person. I am not a far right person. I am a progressive liberal. I want to see everybody make it, because I think this country is great when everybody is reaping the same rewards that everybody else is. There should not be multimillionaires paying, less than 10%. If anything, multimillionaires and billionaires should be paying more tax than the common people.
Jeff Bezos is now worth $100 billion. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
No one person should have.
No, it's actually $200 billion. Like, he just hit over $200 billion.
No one person should be a country.
Exactly.
Not one person on this planet deserves to be their own country.
Exactly. And so my point is, if you have a person that's worth that much money, I guarantee you he's not paying his fair share of tax. Mark Zuckerberg is not paying his fair share of tax. Who's the CEO of Apple?
Oh, you really gonna make me go? I don't know.
None of these big mega corporations are paying their fair share of tax. All of that falls on the middle class and the poor, which I think is wrong. It should not fall upon me and producer Joel and other people to, support the super wealthy, because the super wealthy are not supporting us. And that's where we have and I think that's where the financial divide in this country exists. It's always been like that, whether we've had a Democrat president or a Republican president. So I'm not saying that this is a Republican issue, but this is what I wanted to hear from the Republicans. How do you mesh that? How do you build up the middle class? And I did not hear that for 4 days. All I heard was, if you elect Joe Biden's going to do this, and he's going to rob you of this, and he's going to rob you of this, and he's going to rob you of this. And I'm like literally, I'm going to be honest and tell you, I did not watch 4 hours a day of the Republican convention, because all it basically was Biden bashing. Now, going back to the DNC, what I heard from them was, I heard them state where the country is with the current president.
Okay.
But I also heard, if I'm elected president, here's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to help eradicate COVID-19. I'm going to make sure I listen to the science and not somebody on Fox News or some news program or whatever. Because I think where we are in this country, that's what we need. We need clear answers. We need a clear direction. We need a path to go down. And it may not work, but at least it's a plan of action to get people, back to the American way of life, which I can honestly tell you, and I'm sure, Joel, you're going to agree, we are not where we need to be in this country. And, I'm not going to bash the president or nothing like that. I will tell you something that really, really bothered me, and I got this yesterday, that while he was in North Carolina, he literally told his base that it is okay for them to vote twice, once by mail and once in person. So let me be clear when I say this to my listeners. If you vote anywhere in this country more than once, whether it be mail or whether it be in person, it is illegal and it is a felony. And they will catch you. That is the major thing with voter fraud. That is probably the biggest part of voter fraud that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a guy in office that is trying his hardest to stay in office,
Mm-hmm.
and he's telling people that you can vote twice, that is corruption at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
I am sorry, and I'm not going to apologize for that view, but
Mm-hmm.
that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You can either vote in person or you can vote by mail.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do both. And it was astounding to me that he literally was on TV
Mm-hmm.
telling people that they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Attorney General Barr was like, well, basically what the president is trying to do is he's trying to just make sure that the system is safe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make sure the system is safe by telling people to vote twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is just, that basically is laying the foundation
Mm-hmm.
for him if he loses to go back and say, well, there was probably a lot of people that voted twice
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into a shit show,
Mm-hmm.
And then we won't know who the president is until January,
Mm-hmm.
Which is really fucked up if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that just really kind of, that was basically my take on the RNC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody has a different take, they can definitely hit up all of our social media platforms. They can email the show at www.htownspin.com and leave your comments and stuff like that. And I'll be more than happy, or myself and producer Joel will be more than happy to, to look at that. And, we can bring that up in another show.
Well, it really just goes to show, if you don't have a plan, you just use desperate tactics you need to have a plan. As John said, even if it's a bad plan,
at least it's a plan going forward.
At least it's a plan. Give us something. But all I hear is, the funny thing is, especially in the media, and this seems to be a running thing, him talking about, being a law and order president and all this other stuff, while you have rioting going on.
Yes.
While you have people just acting a complete fool out in the streets on both sides, and you are not being a leader to try to squash and quell this and sit down and have a conversation about this. You're just talk out into the atmosphere and hope for things to. I mean, this entire time he's literally been, well, let's just throw it out there and see what happens.
Right.
And that goes to every part of the administration, from Betty DeVos not having a clear plan on how to. We just need to get the kids back in school. Okay, so what's your plan?
So what happened? But
what's your plan on getting the kids back in school? Well, the plan is to get kids back in school.
Right. Well, the bigger question is, okay, we get them in school, but what happens if they get COVID while they're in school? What's the plan then?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you?
But you don't even have a plan to. You don't even really have a plan when it comes to getting the kids back in school. The only thing you hear is, well, the kids have to go back to school. So what's your plan?
Right.
How are you going to make that happen?
And then when you have another candidate like Biden come up and say, well, yes, I want the kids back in school, but here's how we should do it. Then they're like, well, he's crazy. He's crazy. That's Crazy Joe. That's Crazy Joe. He's too far left, or, whatever. What the country needs, guys, is we need common sense approach to what's going on in the country. And if you guys have not noticed, in the last 4 years, we don't have common sense in the White House. I'm sorry, we don't.
And look, I know that a lot of parents out there who just want their kids to go back to school. They want them out of the house and back in school. For whatever reasons.
Well, because little Johnny's probably being
yeah, most of them are probably hilarious. I'm sick of looking at your face. Hilarious.
Right.
Hilarious. So I get it. A lot of you want your kids back in school. But it won't do you any good if they get sick.
But
and then they come home, and then they're home for 2 to 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And then you're home for 2 to 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And then what good? You have no plan. So you need to have a plan. And you can't... Oh, well, the kids will wear masks.
You guys do
These
realize...
bitches are sneaking out. Imagine the teenagers are sneaking out having house parties doing this whole thing.
Exactly.
You think little kids are going to... Hell no.
I mean, look at the college kids, guys. Look at the college kids. Grown adults, right? 20, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. There's so many outbreaks on college campuses right now. Why? because the kids were like, well, let's have a house party. Let's have a house party. And then that's how the shit gets started. So it's like, guys, just all I'm asking you to do is use your common sense when it comes to voting, right? Vote for common sense, not for the rhetoric that you're hearing, right? Look at what they don't just look at what they tell you. Look at what they do. If you have somebody that's just talking and they don't have a plan, but then you have another guy that's talking and he's giving you a plan every time that he comes out, that's who you need to kind of listen to, is the guy that he's the skipper. He's the one that's getting you out. He's the one getting you out of this shipwreck.
Yeah. No matter what side of the ship you're on, you need to be able to ask questions that they need to be able to have answers for. And if they don't have answers, they need to be able to tell you, I don't have an answer for that right now, but I will work on that.
Exactly. Or you know what?
Instead of what I love when people ask a direct question and the person that they ask the question to, this is always a politician. Yeah. Spends it around so much to something else that the person is standing there going, you didn't really answer my question. Exactly. So,
and it's one of those things where, and we'll get into this in just a second because that actually happened. So as you guys know, most of you, if you guys pay attention to the news, yesterday or Monday, I'm sorry, President Trump went to Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, yay.
Right? Which I can honestly tell you was not recommended. The mayor, the governor, a lot of the Democratic lawmakers were like, no, we don't want you here. We need to heal. We don't need you to come and stir up more division, right? But he went, and one of the questions that after his news conference, one of the questions that the reporter asked was, it was referring to the issue with the racial injustice going on, not just in Wisconsin, but around the country. And his reply was, every time we do one of these, I get one of you reporters that asks me a question that really doesn't pertain to what I'm talking about. Like that's his way of kind of ducking whatever serious question there is. So my thought is,
I'm sorry, but you're in Kenosha.
Exactly. So
you didn't think anybody was going to ask you?
Exactly. So my question is, he's proven by his statements.
Is that a question or is that a statement?
Well, it's basically a statement, but it's going to turn into a question. So he's made his statements regarding race in the past, right? He's gone out of his way to kind of make it to where he's a racist type of person. But my question is, why go to Kenosha? Because he did not meet with the family. He did not even mention Jacob Blake. He went and took a picture with like 3 or 4 people in front of a burned out building as like a photo op. And I'm like, why? Like what? Like is he really that demented that you have to go and do that? I'm sorry. It's just it boggles my mind that you can be a 74-year-old person and just not have any fucking common decency about anything in this country going on regarding race or anything, and you just don't care. And that's what the country needs. The country needs a leader that cares. Biden is in Kenosha, Wisconsin today. He met with the family of Jacob Blake, to heal and to comfort them, and to let them know that he is with them. And if he's elected president, here's what's going to happen. I believe that because there's not an insincere bone in that man's body. And I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but you can tell a lot about a person by what they say and by the way they say it. And I'm telling you guys, when I hear Biden speak, I just hear compassion. I hear love of country. I hear that he wants to do what's in the best interest of the American people. I'm sorry, I don't hear that from the other guy. If the other guy, gave a plan and he went to a city that was being, demolished, by protesters or rioters or whatever, and he said, "Look, I condemn this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not good. This is not how you heal."
Mm-hmm.
Then I would believe.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people that's like, "Well, you're pro, Democrat and everything." Let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Republican, but I understood and I agreed with some of Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
I agreed with some of George Bush.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with this administration in anything that they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
When you tell people that they can vote twice because you are trying to rig the election in your favor, that is corrupt. I'm sorry. There's no black and white about it. That is corrupt. That is like you. That's like me telling you, Joel, that it's okay for you to commit some kind of crime and nothing is going to happen to you. It's like, it's wrong. Like, it's like somewhere your mental capabilities should be like, no, that shit's wrong. Why is this guy telling me to commit a crime, to commit a felony? It ain't a misdemeanor, guys. It's a felony. You go to prison for this shit. So it just blows my mind that we are even having a discussion on voting before a general election. It just blows my mind.
Well, it's not, like I said, it's not surprising. It's kind of odd when you think about it because, and I know this is going to be the oddest statement that anyone has ever heard, but maybe it's the coffee.
It probably is.
Maybe it's the coffee, but it seems like if you go back further into the whole COVID thing, when he says this, he jokingly said drinking bleach or eating hand sanitizer might help kill off the COVID thing. And the other time when he said something about ultraviolet light, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And how many people listened to that?
There were people that
there were people who listened to that. There were people who actually died listening to that advice. So you know that there are people who listen to him and will literally do what he asked them to do. Even though he says, well, I was joking. You're not.
I mean, he's got pardon powers, and he's got so maybe if
telling people to vote twice, knowing that he has those rabid followers out there who will literally do what he says.
There's going to be some dumbasses that's going to do it.
But it seems like to me that, like you said, voting twice in an election is fraud. You could end up in prison. You literally could end up in prison.
And the thing is, there
was an instance here, and I think that instance here is woefully unfair, and I hope they really look into it again. A woman who had gotten out of prison, African American woman who had gotten out of prison, applied to vote, but she accidentally voted in the wrong precinct or something. She got 5 years in prison. Now by the way, like he said, if I'm wrong, come back at me or come back at the show. And give us, but I know the story. And she got 5 years in prison for voter fraud, even though she had gotten out of prison and was allowed to vote and everything else. And there was some kind of thing. She got 5 years in prison.
Wow.
Now, imagine Trump going out and telling people to go out and vote and to go out and vote twice. And the majority of the people who follow him, 90% of his base are,
they do it.
90% of his base are white. So if 90% of white people are going out to commit voter fraud, I feel like, wait, is this a war against white people? Because you know that your biggest base is, why would you run out and tell white people who are your biggest base to go out and vote twice? Why would you do that?
Because he's not counting on the white, he's not counting on the white people that have a college education. He's counting on the white people that don't have a college education, and that really didn't go very far in school.
That. Do not say that, because if you look at the statistics from the last election, quite a few college-educated people voted for Trump. So don't say that.
Well, I think
going to college or intelligence has something to do with it, because it doesn't.
But now look at it like
it's how people feel about him, and he knows how to drop his base. We've seen it. He knew how. This is how, like I said, he was able to win the last election.
Right.
He was able to go to the base where most politicians. You had one politician who spent so much time trying to court Hollywood. She didn't talk to real people.
Right.
He went out and talked to real people.
Right.
That's how he won an election.
Now, here's the thing, though.
So if the Democrats continue down this road of ignoring the base, they will lose every election until they start talking to the base.
Now, here's the caveat, if I can. That's how he won 2016.
Mm-hmm.
2020 is a totally different story because now it's a referendum.
Mm-hmm.
The people in 2016 did not know how he was.
Mm-hmm.
They knew he was this television personality. They knew he was rich, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not know
Mm-hmm.
that he, based on everything that he was saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. They were like, you know what? We need a change.
Yeah.
That's what they were looking at in 2016.
All I'm saying is,
so now you got 2020.
Okay,
and they're like, okay,
2020 is not guaranteed. And there have been a lot of articles written. It is not guaranteed that Biden is automatically going to win this. Y'all need to. That mentality needs to go away.
Well, and here's and
let me tell you why that mentality needs to go away. This is a fight to the finish. You fight to the finish.
Well,
you talk to the base.
There's two words: electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you guys. I'm not
going to get into that argument because that's ridiculous.
Well, I understand that, but the way our system is set up, that you can win the popular vote by 6 million, but you can still lose the election because whoever gets 270 electoral college votes wins.
But here's the thing,
and that's what happened in 2016.
But here's the thing: even on that end, if he leads in a state, that's how the electoral college works. If he leads it, if he were to win Texas, that Texas is part of the electoral college. That means enough people voted to turn Texas from red to blue. We need to start focusing on that.
Right.
Not focusing on the popular vote.
Right.
We need to focus on if the electoral college is going to be the thing, that means that to get people out to vote, you need to inform them that you can turn your state from red to blue if you get out and vote.
Exactly.
That is the whole point, is to turn your state from red to blue, not to worry about the popular vote.
And I do think with all the rhetoric going on about, absentee balloting and mail-in balloting and stuff like that, I think with everything going on in this country, I think there is going to be a huge voter turnout, whether it be early voting or regular voting and stuff like that. But I think people in this country are just fed up. I do.
That means nothing to me.
But what I'm saying is, I think they're so fed up that they're like, you know what? I didn't vote in 2016, but I'm going to get my ass out there and vote this year or this, for this election.
Exactly. But that could go both sides. Easily can go both sides.
Well, true.
There are going to be people out there who are going to be more enthusiastic to vote for this president, and they're going to get people to get out and vote more, but you have to do it on the same. And like I said, I am always going to bring this conversation up when it comes to Democrats, even if it piss off Democrats.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what Jay-Z, Beyonce, or anybody else has to say about politics. I don't give a fuck. Stop going after Hollywood. Right. I want you to do exactly what Trump did.
And you go, people.
Even if it's in the red states, you go in the red states and you talk to people.
Right.
You get your shit out there.
It's grassroots.
It's time to go back to grassroots. I don't give a fuck about anybody in Hollywood when it comes. I don't care on either side.
That's true. That's a true statement. I
don't give a fuck. You need to start understanding something. Understand two things. One, your vote does count because your vote can flip an electoral college state.
Right.
Your vote can flip it from red to blue.
Right.
So we need to get away from the idea of, we've been telling people wrong for blaming the electoral college on this and that and blah, blah, blah. We need to get away from that.
Right.
The electoral college is here to stay.
Right.
Make it work. You get out and vote, you flip a state from red to blue.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes, a president can, by the way, and it's already been shown, can still lose the popular vote and still win the election.
Yes.
That's already been shown.
Yes.
Stop underestimating Donald Trump and his base.
Exactly. Now, I will
to say that enough people are fed up, sure, but which side is more fed up? The law and order people that Trump keeps talking about, which there's a lot of those people out there. And by the way, there are a lot of those people out there.
Right.
Or the people who want change. And the people who or law and order don't want change. They just want things to go back to normal, quiet, and peaceful the way it was without any real change or anything else. They live in fear, and fear works for the law and order people, which is why the Republican Party is great at instilling fear, because they know that their base lives in fear.
Now, I will say this. I will add this, and this can be open for debate as well. But here's my take on this whole voter suppression thing. Okay? And to me, it's very clear. Okay? If you think that you voting does not matter, and it kind of piggybacks on what you were saying, Joel, I want my listeners to understand that if your vote didn't matter, you would not have Republicans trying to stop you from voting.
Yep.
Okay? It's really that simple. If you think your vote doesn't count, then look at what the Republican Party is doing with regards to voter suppression. Look at what they're doing to the post office. Look at what they're doing with when they say you can vote twice and stuff like that. They are trying to strip you away from your right to vote.
And the Republican base, they're fervent voters.
They're trying to scare you.
They're fervent voters. And and a lot of them are, as John said, a lot of them are really pissed off. But which way are they pissed off? And that's the worrying kind, because a lot of them are pissed off at the fact that this is also a president. And by the way, this is the majority of his base. This is also a president who wants to mess with Social Security. And that's not going to play well on even his Republican base, because you don't touch Social Security.
Yeah.
And that could...
Well, you don't touch two things. You don't touch Social Security. You don't touch the U.S. Post Office.
Exactly. So, yeah, you don't touch that. So you're going to piss off... And this is the time for the other party to swoop in and take advantage of that.
Exactly.
And that means going back to the base.
Exactly.
Not going to Hollywood.
Yeah. And I think Biden has been really good about doing that. And I think his choice of running mate is exceptional. I think Kamala Harris is going to do a really, really good job. And I'll tell my listeners this: it's going to be a close race. It's going to be like don't look at the polls that say that Biden's up 9 points or 10 points. Do not that's a good thing, but you can't base it on that. Because Hillary Clinton had a big lead too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Look at what happened.
Exactly.
So, speaking of the president,
you're actually an hour into this show. This is only supposed to be 45 minutes.
I know, but it's a great show. So we got a few more minutes, right? I'm just gonna go over the new information that I got today.
Okay.
All right. So, presidential debate. I know you guys cannot wait for the presidential debates. There's 3 of them. The first one is September 29th. It's going to be moderated by Chris Wallace from Fox News, who had that really great interview with Donald Trump where he was showing him, it wasn't him showing him charts, but it was him kind of going off on him about some of the misinformation that he was giving. So that's important. Second debate is going to be October 15th. It's going to be moderated by Steve Scully, who is a bigwig with C-SPAN, which is the governmental congressional network and stuff like that. And then the third moderator, and I know this person I feel like I know her just from watching her on TV. The third moderator is Kristen Welker from NBC. It's going to be on October 22nd. There's going to be one vice presidential debate, which is going to be October 7th, and it's going to be from moderated by Susan Page from USA Today.
Okay.
My choice, and I posted this on my H-Town Spin Facebook page. My choice for moderator for the presidential debate is Samuel L. Jackson. I can already hear motherfucker constantly coming. I think he'd be in it. I think he would be a great moderator.
Motherfucker, please.
Yeah, for all 3 of the debates, I think he would be he is the quintessential.
You'll hear a lot of motherfucker, please. This motherfucker here, motherfucker, and what motherfucker?
I can't. I mean, I can already hear it.
There's there'll be several different I guess, intonations of the word motherfucker. Yeah, so it'll be used as a noun, a pronoun, an adjective, a verb.
Exactly. However,
conjunction, junction, what's your function?
Exactly. Y'all remember that show back in when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Look, I don't care. Just Google a shit.
I know, right? But I mean, there's a picture of him on my H-Town Spin Facebook page and stuff like that. So go check it out.
Okay.
There's also a picture of him on my Twitter page. I mean, not my Twitter page, my Instagram show page as well. But before we go, I do want to wrap up with this being Labor Day weekend.
Oh, it is Labor Day weekend this week.
Yes. So
I don't know.
Everything is closed on Monday, but there is a warning from Dr. Fauci saying you guys need to like really, really scale back on your celebrations on Labor Day and stuff like that, because we could literally have a third wave.
Yeah. And winter is coming.
Yes, it is. It is. Thank God there's supposed to be cooler weather coming next week in Houston. Thank the Lord.
And for those of us of a certain age, because I'm going to have to run out and do this too, I need to set up all my doctor stuff. You need to get your flu shots, your pneumonia shots. If you're over a certain age, let's get these shots.
I've never had a flu shot.
Yeah, we're now over a certain age, so we need to get these shots, because if COVID is running through, COVID is going to be running through the winter. It has not gone away.
Yeah, and that's the
so
really,
get your
really
shots.
part.
Run out and get your shots. I'm gonna run out and get mine.
But Labor Day, you're gonna have everybody. They're gonna be at pools and they're gonna be like partying on the weekends and stuff like that. And it's like that's just. I hope it's not, but that is just a segue into a whole nother problem. And just be careful. Wear your mask. Do your social distancing as much as you can and stuff like that. But if you can't, please wear a mask. Make sure you are taking care of yourself. Okay. Also, before we go, I do since we talked about voting, remember in Texas, early voting starts October 3rd, I believe, until the end of the month of October. So please, if you don't want to do it on November 3rd, please go vote early in October. You'll need your ID. You'll need some form of ID, whether it's a military ID. You can have if you have a license to carry a gun in Texas, you can use that. Your passport, your state ID, your driver's license, like anything that identifies who you are, you give it to the poll worker.
Oh, call your what is it called? The county clerk.
You can call the county clerk.
Call the county clerk and get all that information beforehand,
before you
so
go.
You know what to, even if you don't, because if you don't have those forms of IDs, they might be able to help you. So call your city or county clerk. I think either one.
Or what you could do
is call one of them and they will help you figure out what your ID situation needs to be.
And if you're not quite sure if you are registered to vote,
do it now.
Go to vote.org. There is a link on that page that it will direct you. It's going to ask you what state you're in. You tell them what state, and then it will send you to the email or the website, and you can actually register. It takes 2 minutes to register.
Actually, I think there's an even easier way, especially in Texas. I think there's an easier way. If you are renewing a driver's license, ID, or anything else, you can automatically register when you do that.
Oh, okay.
You automatically register every time that you renew your driver's license or ID or what have you. Okay. Just make sure that when you do that, if you're doing it online or if you're doing it in person, that you let the person know that you want to make sure you're registered to vote.
Right. Okay, yeah.
If you lose your voter card, registration card, don't worry. All you have to do is bring your ID and maybe possibly like a bill or something with
something showing where you live.
Something showing where you live. We need to. This is the time where we need to start focusing on making sure everybody has their some form of ID. So make calls to the city clerk, to the county clerk, to find out if you're registered to vote, and two, you have some form of ID when you go to the poll.
And then another thing, also, once you yourself get registered, tell your friends to get registered.
Exactly.
The more people that vote, the more we can change the outlook in the country. But just remember, the other party is counting on you not to vote because they want things to stay the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So, get out and vote. Do it. Do not do it more than once. If you early vote, then you can't vote in November, right? So you've already cast your vote. You get one vote, whether it's in mail or by mail or in person.
In the years past, I don't think we've ever had to have this conversation about the rules of voting.
We never have.
We've never had to have this conversation, and now we have to have this conversation.
And once again,
this is
guys,
ridiculous that now we have to have this conversation.
And once again, this is where the corruption in the current White House is. Because as long as I've been living for 51 years. Since I was 18 years old, I've never had to have somebody break down to me
the rules and regulations of voting.
I'm 51 years old now. Okay, so this should tell you where we are on the country, in the country and stuff like that. So please make it a priority to get out and vote, whether you do it in person or by mail. You can't do both. You have to choose which one you want to do. And if you go to the polls, make sure you have your face mask on. Make sure you bring a chair. Make sure you bring some cooking equipment or something like that in case you want to do like a barbecue or something.
I think we were joking about that, but if somebody wants to set up a little bar out there while we're do whatever you need to do.
Make your little lemonade stand. That way you make a little money on the side.
Exactly.
I mean, do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do.
But the important thing
economy must keep going.
Exactly. Get out there and vote, guys. That's basically the message that producer Joel and I are trying to get you to recognize and to understand. So with that, we are going to say adios until next Thursday.
Thank God, because I drank a venti of coffee and it has gone through me.
And before you cut me off, Joel, September 17th, I want my listeners to realize that we have in studio Jeff Taplin, who is the founder and creative director of Sophisticated Bitch and King Dick. It's his clothing line. He's going to be in studio.
I don't understand how he gets away with those names.
To talk about everything.
That's going to have to be one of the questions that you ask. How?
That will probably be the first question I ask. How? Yeah. But we may be live streaming that show so you guys can see my guests and you can see our beautiful faces and stuff like that. And you can see this very handsome Creole man.
Let's not put live streaming on the table until we actually know up until that week. We might just record.
We may not.
We might just record and then we'll put it either on. We'll figure something out.
We will.
We'll figure something out. So let's just keep it at work. We're going to have a show and then we'll figure out the rest. Like a week beforehand, we'll let you know.
Gotcha.
What we're going to be doing. So I don't want to do it this far out, and then we're like, oh my God,
we're
not ready.
Right.
So
I got you.
Yeah.
So next Thursday is going to be a regular Thursday show, and then the week of September 17th, which is a Thursday, we are going to have a very special in studio guest. So. A lot of great things coming up with the H-Town Spin. So I'm looking forward to it. I know producer Joel is, as well as my other co-host, Mario Almanza. He's going to be joining us as well. So, guys, thank you so much. Have a great remainder of your Thursday, and peace out.
Okay. And that was your episode of the H-Town Spin. Brought to you by John Floyd, producer Joel Tatum in the house. Listen to us. Don't forget, listen to us again next week. Hopefully on a Thursday, but who knows? We just love to do a show whenever. But we'll be back at you. We're out.